Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts.
Oh my.
Today we have a special little episode for you here. If you're watching the video form, you probably see that there's just crap all over our table. If you're just listening, that's okay too, because we're going to be describing the stuff we're talking about. And what were we going to be talking about? Ghost hunting equipment. So we're kind of going over the stuff that we have, some stuff that we don't as well, how it's kind of used, some of like the beliefs behind it, and some of like personal opinions as well as to if I really believe the stuff is effective or not, and, you know, some of the criticism there are of these materials. Now, one thing I will say that helps our channel out a lot is most of the stuff that's on here you can find on Ghost Stop, and we do have an affiliate link, so we make a small commission off it if you use that link. So if anything on here you're interested in buying or have been, make sure to click that link and use that basically to buy anything. As long as you click it, you can get anything on the site, and we'll get a small portion of it. Same thing for Amazon. Any of the things, like there's one of the things for sure I know that's not on here, but that is on Amazon. I'll have a link for that as well. Yeah. So where do we begin? And again, if you want to see the stuff more and you're just listening to it, the video course will be on YouTube, so you'll be able to see the equipment that we're talking about. And also, we have a lot of videos where we go ghost hunting and use this equipment.
Yeah, so if you've watched any of our Haunted Adventures videos, you've seen us use a lot of different stuff when we're investigating. And that's kind of what we wanted to do here, was we wanted to kind of go over some of the stuff. We try to go through some of it while we're there, but, you know, sometimes we're just getting into it and we just don't have time to do all that. So we figured we'd tell you guys a little bit about stuff that we use.
Right.
What the theory is behind it, what our favorite equipment is, that kind of stuff. So,
right, exactly.
We have
So
all this stuff out.
Let's see. I feel like it's Christmas. Like, let's just grab something. So let's start here because this is something that Kim, shaking it for the mic there. It's a cat toy, is what this actually is. It's just this little round ball. You can press the little button that's on top. And basically how it works is just, if there's any movement of it at all, it will light up. So if it moves at all, it'll light up. It's just a good object to kind of have, like, in a dark room. It makes it a lot easier to see if there's any movement.
Yeah. And, I mean, a lot of people have, like, motion-activated devices that you can buy. I know there's, like, those music boxes, things like that, which I think are extremely creepy.
That's such a ghost hunter thing to do. There's no reason for it to be that.
The one we were watching, and the song it was playing was The Sound of Silence. Hello, darkness, my old friend. And it was creepy, because imagine that in a music box. So it's like, ding, 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 ding. Oh, I did not like it. Like, the whole time I'm, like, listening, and I'm like, what is that song? Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's creepy. I don't like that. Yeah, right. It was strange. This doesn't make any sounds, but it's like a little discotheque.
Yep, it just lights up all kinds of fun colors. Now, of course, you know, you have to be a little careful because generally it likes to not light up, you know. It's more to help see if it is moving, you know. I mean, it's possible for the device to malfunction and kind of light up on its own, but with any of the equipment, you kind of want to, like, deduce that yourself, you know, as to, like, if it actually is responding to questions or if it's just kind of lighting up randomly. Is it moving when it's lighting up, that kind of thing. But it is nice because it makes it very visible. And when you're ghost hunting, you know, you got to do it in the dark. Yeah. So let's see. What's something else here?
Well, I have two different versions of electromagnetic field detectors, or EMF. This one is the Gauss meter. This is an old school one. It makes a really obnoxious noise.
Ugh.
Yeah, isn't that awful? And of course it's running right now because there's so much electricity down here.
Let's shut that off.
Endless creeping door. That was awful. And then of course there's this one. You've probably seen on every single ghost hunting show there has ever been, ever. It's the K2.
It's to the point now where pretty much most of the sales for this device are ghost hunters buying it. It's what Ghost Up will sell. That's the main one that they sell. They sell, I think, a few others, but that is like probably the number one seller. And it's black on there. But
And guess what? You don't have to put a coin here.
Oh, yeah, the original ones. Well, yeah, because, when people were using it for not, hunting ghosts and actually just trying to see if, like, something was giving off too much electromagnetic frequencies, like a microwave, seeing if... Because one of the things about electromagnetic frequencies, and this is kind of a double tool, because there's a... So, the practical belief is that too many electromagnetic frequencies are bad for you. And so if you're, like, let's say... there's something faulty like wiring by your headboard. And so every night you just have hours of being subjected to high magnetic waves. It can basically make you hallucinate. It can bother your sleep and stuff like that. Yeah. So one thing this is they will use this to debunk if people maybe are almost having like a visual hallucination.
Yeah.
But of course, the other thing, of course, it's used for, it's almost like in a Ouija board, where it's like set down and you ask questions and hope the lights will light up. Now, this is a very fickle device, because if you get even if you think, oh, well, it hasn't blipped at all, myself has been by it, when you get incoming texts or notifications, it generally will light up.
That's why if you go ghost hunting, a lot of times it is suggested that you put your phone on airplane mode.
Yes.
Or don't even have it with you, unless you're using like an app or something like that, or you're using it as a camera. I know a lot of people use their phone as a camera, but make sure you put it in airplane mode, because then it's just going to read constantly whatever happens in your pocket. If you get notifications through Facebook or email or anything like that, this thing's going to go off.
Exactly, and it's so hard to do. So these things, I think, for one, there's a lot of, like, varying beliefs out there, because, I mean, it's also possible for just radio waves to set it off, and, like, it could be something that's even distant, because this thing's not it's only directional too, so like, and it has no way to like block outside waves, so you have to be really careful with it. Yeah, there's probably a lot going on here.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're using it and you're getting a lot of like consistent,
like his watch.
If you're getting a lot of like consistent responses from it, then maybe it is something. But you kind of have to be careful with what you are doing. Yeah. It's popularized with the TV shows too, because it lights up colors and it's really easy to show on camera as well. So let's see, what do we want to do? Oh, let me do this one next. So this one is actually, and I want to talk about this. It's a laser grid. This is a really good laser pointer. I found this on Amazon because actually I couldn't find one on Ghost Stop that was nice. But this thing is, I don't even know if it, for one, it's a rechargeable battery. The end unscrews, and it has a USB port. So you just plug it into any block. Sorry if that noise is terrible. It probably is. And this really wasn't meant for ghost hunting, but for some reason it comes with this little latch thing that will hold the button down. Because this part unscrews, and then it's just, and I hope it has power, yep. And it's just a really, really bright laser. I don't really want to shine at the camera because I don't want a laser to go into the lens. But if you put this on, then, let me shine it on the wall behind me. I assume it's, yeah, you can kind of see it there. It makes a laser grid, and the reason you would want to use this is because if you have the laser grid against the wall and you would use this to keep it on, the latch makes it easier to see on like a DVR or a camera that's recording if something's obstructed the lasers, be it an apparition or a shadow figure.
Shadow figures, right. Things like that, yeah.
This is the kind of tech I like because if you see something walk through the lasers, it's not radio waves.
Yeah.
If you see something and it's not a human walk through the lasers, this thing can't fake that really. Like the light might get a little dimmer or something like that, or it might shut off because it got too hot, but it's not going to simulate someone walking through the lasers. So that's why I kind of like this type of, it's real simple, not real techy, but if you see something, it's not just the device basically being derpy on you. What's next on the list, Timothy?
So, one of my favorite things to use is the ghost box. He calls it the fake box. Yes. So I have numerous versions. My mom actually bought me the first one. This is an actual Shack hack. Yeah, It is a Radio Shack radio that you literally go inside. Like, I actually had to unscrew this. You go inside and there's a little pin that is sticking up like this, and you have to go in and bend it. And what that does is it allows this device to scan through the radio frequencies at a fast rate. And of course they started making ones that are just basically built for that purpose, and that would be the SB7 and the SB11.
Yeah.
And the newest one that came out is the S-Box. I am a little bit partial to the SB7. I really like the way it works. I had an old one and it died on me.
Ghost scanner.
And so I got the SB11. I'm not a huge fan of it. What the SB11 does is it's 2 radios that you can scan simultaneously.
It has a flashlight.
And it has a it actually has a heat sensor on it. So it detects temperature
it does do
waves
that as well.
on there. The new SB7 actually has a it has a temperature thing on here too, which I did not realize it did that now, but it does actually have a temperature thing. This little dot here is actually a light, and it'll light up and stuff like that. I haven't used it yet for that. This thing just kept derping out on us.
Yes.
Every time
it's
we
very inconsistent,
use it.
so we had to stop using it, yeah.
So I went back to my SB11, and then I actually won this S-Box, and this is from Ghost Stop. You can get the SB7 and this guy. Actually, I think you can get all 3 of them from Ghost Stop. This one actually records. You can put a disc in or a card in here, and it'll record directly into the thing. I actually haven't used this yet on any of our adventures, so
we'll have
maybe
to
the
try
next
that
one
one
we'll
out.
try
Yeah.
this one.
So, now obviously, the controversy for these is, oh God, you have to be really careful because, I mean, obviously, it's getting through radio stations, and you will hear blips of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's obviously the, audio pareidolia, or however, is that, I think, pareidolia, I think that's how you say it.
So.
Basically what that means is it's the same thing as a visual one where you see things because you're looking for something.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say, for example, you look at, like, a blurry picture of, like, pine trees, and you see a face in them. There's not a face in them, it's because of the shadows and the depth and the needles, and in your mind, if you're looking for something, you see it. And that's one of the biggest things with ghost hunting as well, even with EVPs, of course, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, but pretty much everyone knows what that is. And the ghost box is a huge offender. If you're, like, saying, what is your name? And it's like, you might have just heard Caroline, because you're listening for something, but it's really just, it's really all it was, and that happens time and time again. Now, if you're getting a real clear one, which we have got, in fact, interesting enough, the episode isn't out yet, it'll probably be out the week after this airs. We were using one of these on a bridge. And I thought the voice came from that, but it wasn't. It was actually behind me. That was weird. Anyways.
Yeah, that was really weird. Yeah, I've used the ghost boxes quite a bit, and I've kind of, like, trained my ears to know what is radio and what isn't.
But it's really difficult to say.
It's really hard
Right.
Yeah, it's really hard to really know for sure.
Like, in my opinion, it needs to be pretty damn clear to actually say with confidence.
That's why, like, if you watch our videos and you see me with the headphones, this is also the device that we use the headphones with, okay? So you'll see me, and I'll be making faces because I'll be hearing things, and I'm not really sure if it's something that's pertaining to what they're saying because I don't know what they're asking, or it could just be radio. So I'm always making these faces like, is that something? Is it just the radio? Right. You're not really sure.
Which I'm glad you brought that up because we do this in some episodes. We don't always explain what we're doing because we've explained in earlier episodes when everyone's watched all the episodes of Haunted Adventures again. So if you're interested in actually seeing us ghost hunt, watch that. But we will have, these are noise canceling headphones. Yes. You put them on and you listen to the radio. So like Kim would sit there and listen and I would ask the questions, but she can't hear the questions. And then she would spit out any word that she's hearing. Mm-hmm. And that helps prevent the whole pareidolia thing. Because if Kim doesn't know the question, she's not necessarily listening for anything specific. So if I just ask again a blanket question, what's your name, and she spits out a name, that's strange. If I ask what's your color, she spits out a color. If I ask something even more specific, like, about a location or something, and there's that, then that's going to be weird. It's kind of hard to explain away with the mind just telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So that is a really good experiment, and if you are a ghost hunter and use these, I highly recommend trying that out.
Yeah, because, it's technically you're supposed to have the noise-canceling headphones on, and you're supposed to wear blindfolds.
I think as long as you're not, like, trying to read people's lips to fake it, then you don't need the blindfold or close your eyes.
I usually close my eyes, because I like to concentrate anyway. Yeah. Blindfolds kind of freak me out a little bit.
I think it's the whole sensory deprivation thing that's really put you there.
Yeah.
We haven't really tried the blindfold. We probably should, because it's, again, so much of ghost hunting is aesthetics. For like your TV stuff. Like, there's so much stuff. For example, the music box thing. There's no reason it needs to be a music box to play the sound. That's just aesthetics.
It could make just a beep noise, and you'd be like, oh, okay.
There's these things called Boo Buddies, which we do not have one, which are stuffed animals that are like, oh yeah, $300 this one is, who's a teddy bear that spirits can supposedly make talk or have like an EMF reader inside of them. But it's a teddy bear built around one of these. Some of them, yeah.
And it talks when something touches it in a certain area. So basically, instead of lighting up, it's going to say, oh, that tickles, or do you want to hold my hand, or, do you want to play?
Yeah.
Which is always creepy to hear.
And, and of course the belief is that, if it's a kid spirit, they're more likely to interact with the teddy bear.
Yeah.
So let's see, what's another fun piece of equipment? Let's do something more. We have a few, and I kind of want to transition a little bit more into. I kind of like the idea of more spiritual items for ghost hunting. And I personally would like to play with a Ouija board at some point, kind of use that. I know some people have this negative connotation, but let's be honest, using these equipments is no different.
Right.
You're controlling the board. If it is a spirit that's channeling you, it's the same thing with dowsing rods or something like this. So what this is it's oh my God, what is it?
Amethyst?
Is it amethyst?
Yeah.
It's an amethyst pendant. It's pure amethyst, and it's just a what is it?
Pendulum.
Yeah, pendulum. I couldn't think of it. I kept wanting to say pendant. And of course, basically, and I guess we can kind of lump the dowsing rods and this together because they work essentially the same way. So while she's getting those out, because these are fun, we'll show these in a minute. So you ask questions, and again, one thing we want to try with these is kind of do the same thing with the spirit box, because the way these work generally is small muscle movements. So you're not even controlling it. It's more subconscious. We'll answer questions, and you will do, what is it, generally like a circle for yes, or...
You can do pretty much whatever you want.
Few ways.
You can go back and you can go go towards you or away from you. You can go to side to side, or you could do circles as well.
Like, for example, I am not trying to move this in a circle at all, but I think about it and it just happens. So there's like little muscle movements happening. Like, I'm not trying to make this move in a circle, but it is. And that's kind of the belief that it's not possession by any means, but like you're being influenced by maybe the spirit.
Yeah.
There's also, with pendulums are kind of cool as well, because you can get a board or something that has answers on it, and then it can like kind of swing towards the answers.
Yeah, and it's basically the same thing like on a Ouija board. It's got like a yes, no. You could have like different. You could basically make your own board if you wanted to, and just have that respond as like kind of like an Ouija board does.
Right. So it's like divination purposes and stuff, and it's just it's cool. And of course, it also has that stone in there because there's a lot of beliefs in like the power of healing, stones and stuff like that. But then the dowsing rods, similar way, except not. Now, these ones that Kim has are light-up dowsing rods. So
I don't know how well you can see them on the video. I do have them lit.
I'll hold one so it can kind of... How do you change the colors?
There's a little button in the green here.
Oh, I see it.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, if you're just listening, basically these dowsing rods change colors. But if you're watching, as you can see, probably they change. They're meant more for, like, obviously at nighttime. But they help you... The only real reason that this is there is because they help
you see it in the
night.
Dark. Yeah. Because I know I do like to use dowsing rods because I do feel like I am sensitive to spirits and I do allow them to communicate through me. And it was always frustrating because we would use dowsing rods and you couldn't really see them.
Right.
Especially in a dark room. And these came about a few years ago. And it's actually a local company that makes them, a local ghost hunting group. And I actually won these on a page that's no longer around anymore. It's called Beyond the Senses. It was like a ghost hunting auction site on Facebook. It was really great. I got actually quite a few of these things on there. But same thing with the pendulum, dowsing rods. I am holding them completely still, and what it is the spirit is supposed to be able to manipulate these into answering yes or no questions. Dowsing rods were originally used to find water or minerals.
Or even graves. Even graves, they were used for that as well. Yeah, and graves.
It's known as a pseudoscience, though,
right.
Which is kind of like your own, is it really kind of science?
It's like an unproven.
Yeah, it's unproven.
Well, the thing about dowsing rods, though, is, I mean, there are not necessarily spirits, but, like, they have been proven basically to help find water.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, they really, you know, I mean, they really are used for that. Now, again, it's more based on muscle movements and the spirit supposedly communicating through you than anything else. Because, like, they're not, like, grabbing it and moving the dowsing rod around. That's not really how that's supposed to work. I mean, I suppose that's possible. You know, I mean, I guess it's possible, you know, if you believe that there'll be, like, more poltergeist activity. And we've done another episode where we talked about types of spirits as well. So if you're interested in that, check that out.
I've actually had a few times where it felt like someone was tugging on the rod. It was kind of weird. It actually felt like someone was, like, holding the end of it and just kind of yanking it slightly, or even pushing it down on me. But who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, so it's an interesting, and we've had interesting results for them. But the dowsing rods, unfortunately, they're one of those things where there is no proving or disproving it, because, yeah, there just really is. I would never consider dowsing rods to be, like, hard evidence. You would want to do this more for personal experience, you know, like that, because you're not going to be able to really show that to people, I think, and them say, oh, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Concrete evidence. Yeah. Let's see. What now? Well, this is this is funny, actually. We'll talk about this for a minute. And, I don't even know. So, this light, for one, do you remember, I know one's ultraviolet, one's full spectrum. What's the other one? Is it IR?
One is IR and one is full spectrum.
One's full spectrum. We actually won this, and I'll probably have to get it closer. We'll get closer shots of all these first, so if you're watching in video form. But if you notice the logo that's on here, we used to have a ghost hunting team, and we went by Aura Paranormal. Ohio Afterlife Research Association was the full name of that. And this is a little camera that had night vision on it we would use. We don't use this anymore. I don't even know if this light would turn on if we put the batteries in it. I have no idea. Probably not at this point. But it's a cute little thing. This camera's quality is probably also really bad, so I probably wouldn't want to use it for YouTube at this point. It's been so long since we've used. Who knows if the camera even turns on? But
it does. I actually tried it the other day.
Oh, it does turn on.
Let me find the on button.
I assume that the video quality has to be pretty fun on it. And we've had this for over 10 years, haven't we? We've had this for a while.
I mean, I didn't think it was too awful.
I mean, actually, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, it is a small screen, but to be honest, we probably could use that somewhat since it is like a night vision camera, because we don't really use a night vision camera
on the screen. It is a night vision.
Yeah.
You can actually see my awful, awful face in night vision.
Right. Well, I mean, there are lights on you, but this is black and white.
Yeah. But yeah, it still works.
Interesting.
Amazingly. I know. I was really shocked that it actually worked, because it's probably been a few years since I charged it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because, like, does it have a... Anyways,
it's
we're supposed to talk about the things. Now we're just in wonderment at this thing.
We're just wow.
But that's all that is. And we basically was... I mean, so I guess we'll talk. So the purpose of night vision is more or less... so people can see in the dark, because again, they do the ghost hunting. Now the full spectrum is a little bit more so of there's a belief that ghosts can be seen outside of our normal visual spectrum of light. So with the full spectrum camera, it's using a spectrum of light that we can't necessarily see, and it's using that, and maybe you'll be able to see a spirit on the camera screen that you weren't able to see with your own eyes because they're in a part of light that is not visible to our eyeballs. That's kind of where the belief with this goes. And like I said, IR is mainly for night vision, but I assume with IR you might be able to see like spirits you couldn't with your own eyes.
I mean, that's usually what like most ghost hunting shows use now, like when they're filming, is they'll use the IR.
Yeah, which we don't generally do
night
that.
vision light.
I personally don't like watching things in all black and white, so I just film with a light on top of my camera. I think it's creepier looking that way anyways. And we don't really have a night vision camera, but I don't really have the desire to buy one because most of them are going to be less quality than what I generally film with, and I like them to be better quality when we film, but full spectrum cameras definitely are used by more people. Now, one thing that is popular that we do not have any longer, well, we might have somewhere, is a DVR, which is, of course, a digital video recorder where you can like hook up multiple cameras.
Yeah.
And now this is better for like if you're doing like, let's say you're the type of ghost hunter that likes to go to like residence.
Yeah. And say they like have like activity in all these different rooms. And obviously, you know, if you're a small group of paranormal investigators, like maybe there's like only 3 or 4 of you, you can't be in every room.
No, not at all.
So you set up these little cameras in every room and hope that you capture something.
Well, there's also a big theory in like, well, not even really a theory, but like ghost hunting is like things will happen. It seems a lot of times when you're ghost hunting, things will happen in the room that you aren't.
Yep.
Like, you'll hear a door slam, but then no one can prove the door really slammed because no one was in there. But if you have a DVR camera, you'll know.
Yeah. If you see the door slam on your DVR camera, then you know.
Now, they are a bit of an investment because I would never get one again unless we did wireless.
Yes.
Because, oh my God. So we did big investigations with it, like the Agora Theater when it was like we ran these cables. Oh, the House of Wills was a nightmare. But we also filmed at the House of Wills, and the filming was way worse than that one.
Yeah, that's true.
When we had to run a generator and run cords off because we had to have the generator like basically on a part of the roof because we had to keep it far enough away where the sound didn't bleed in.
And people didn't steal things.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, because that's the thing you really have to be concerned about. But yeah, you're right, the DVR system for that. Because we at one point, I think we had 8 cameras in total at one point we could use at one point because we borrowed some cameras and we had 4 of our own. But now you can just get things like Ring, or there's a couple other brands. A Ring might be a doorbell. Well, I forget the Arlo. Arlo's a popular one. That's a popular wireless camera. They're kind of pricey, but God, I don't think I would ever do it without a wireless camera system. So you just kind of turn it on, get the Wi-Fi hooked up to the thing, and then just plop them places.
Yeah, you just put them in places and you're done with it. Yeah.
And then you can, because I mean, setting it up is one thing, but having to wire all these, coil all these cables back together at like 4, 5, 6 in the morning, I'd just rather die. A nightmare. But yeah, more of the story is DVRs are helpful, but also a nightmare. So let's go with this. This is a new little piece lately, and we'll get nice because then we'll talk about the smartphone app too. So thermal imaging cameras are very expensive, and of course the belief is it's very similar to full spectrum. Thermal imaging cameras, of course, if you are unfamiliar, they let you see heat. It's just heat. So you can see in night, but it's all just different colors of heat. It's usually like from orange to like dark purple is usually the range. And of course, if you've watched many ghost shows, you've probably seen some impressive footage.
Yes. And the theory is that spirits, when they are trying to manifest, they use the energy that's in the space that they're occupying and they suck out the heat, causing cold spots. And that's what you're looking for when you're looking into a thermal imaging camera, is you're looking for those cold spots. Mm-hmm. You can also, sometimes spirits actually do emit heat, especially if they are using a lot of energy or they have a lot of energy and they're trying to manifest in one spot, they could actually produce heat. So if there's not supposed to be heat or cold in a spot that you're looking at, it might be a spirit.
Right. And another thing, I guess, it's kind of like portals.
Portals.
I believe you can see portals with it if you know your belief in that. Handprints that are mysterious and not yours, because it will show handprints from people if you put it on the wall because the heat is left over for a while. So you have to be careful with them too. But the other thing you have to be really careful when you're using a thermal imager is reflections, because you might not think that you're going to reflect onto a concrete wall, but if you're close enough, your heat signature will reflect off cooler, and so it looks like something there. So you got to be careful with it, but I've also seen some pretty compelling evidence with the FLIR, and they're also fun to play with. Now, this is what I have. So this is actually one that just plugs, and you can get it for Android or for iPhone, but it just plug into the back of your phone and turn it on, and then there's an app that uses it, so you use your phone as a screen, but that's the camera, because it's a lot cheaper this way. Now, it's still not that cheap. This is $200. But the cheapest one that's like not this, it's actually like the real, like, camera and screen itself, it would be about $380, which isn't that bad, but they go up, well, even more, but the most expensive one in Ghost Up is like the highest quality would be $2,000. Now, this one isn't the best quality, but it's good enough if you're just looking for ghosts. It doesn't have all the features if you're needing it, because, of course, what this would be practically used for is to find, like, places where ventilation is bad, places where cool air is being leaked in around windows to make sure that you're able to, like, insulate the house better. Gas leaks, all kinds of stuff. Well, I don't know. I think I don't know, but definitely for the finding hot and cold spots. Yep, animals. That's a big one. So that's kind of what it's professionally used for. But this is even advertised because there's also a $400 version of this one, which is better quality all the way around. So it's twice the price though. So I want the cheaper one just because we're looking for ghosts with it.
Don't need anything. Big about that.
And then the other thing, while I have the phone, is so there's this thing called the Ovulus. Kim, if you want to talk about that.
Okay, so the Ovulus is a device that has a bunch of words in a database inside it, and it's a little box. And what is supposed to happen is that spirits can go into this box and grab words and communicate to you through this Ovulus box by using any of these words that are in this database. And you can answer yes or no questions, or, and they can answer any questions using the words that are in this box. Obviously, some themselves are very hard to find and very expensive.
But the app called iOvulus is actually made by, it just said that, I have it running here, the same people that make the Ovulus device. Yeah. And they basically describe it. They're like, look, this is not going to prove ghosts, but basically they describe it as having a bunch of sensors in the phone, and like imagine there's a whole bunch of different bells, and each bell correlates with a word. And that's essentially how it works. So the ghosts or spirits or whatever might be able to kind of like manipulate the sensors in some way. It's a little bit, I have no idea how it could actually work, but it's a fun thing to kind of use, to kind of see. We've got some weird things that it said at weird times.
Yeah.
Especially when we were, not mine, but someone actually had an actual Ovulus when we were in the upstairs, which we'd go around saying our name, and it tended to only tell people to sit down who were standing. There's one person standing. When he said his name, it said sit down. There's some other weird stuff. Yeah. Like when I was talking, it said camera, and I had a camera in my hand, and maybe they're just coincidences, but it's kind of weird, and it's kind of an interesting thing to play with. At least the company's honest about it, and they're not like, this will find ghosts. They're like, you can use it, there's really no proof behind it, but this is how it works, and you can kind of see what happens. Yeah. So it's an interesting little thing, and the app is like $4 or $5, so it's super cheap if, just to download, to kind of test it out, I guess, a little bit there.
So we didn't talk about the Melmeter. Melmeter is kind of the same thing as the K2 and the Gauss meter. It reads EMFs as well. This one makes an obnoxious noise and stuff like that. You see them a lot on the ghost shows. They use this one quite a bit. Yeah, I totally forgot about this one. Sitting here in front of my face.
Yeah, it's basically, it's like an EMF meter and temperature gauge that combined. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might do some other things too. I don't really know. We never use that. I don't know why we don't use that very much. We probably should use that more.
I forget about it.
Yeah. So one thing I don't remember exactly how this is supposed to help with spirits, but another like more spiritual item we have here, and as a new edition, we actually haven't got to use it yet. Yeah, talk about that, because I don't really know how it's supposed to help.
So this is a Tibetan singing bowl, and I've been watching a UK ghost hunting show called Ghost Dimension, and they've been using this lately, and it's supposed to actually increase energy. Mm-hmm. So spirits use energy to manifest. So the people that are on this show decided, well, we'll use this thing to increase energy so spirits have something to communicate with us. Which kind of makes sense. So I bought one. I'm not gonna make it.
So it basically creates energy.
It creates energy with the noise that it makes.
Okay. And then that's supposed to. Well, I mean, some other stuff too is it's to help with meditation purposes.
Yeah.
And it. Yeah. It's supposed to help you connect more with yourself and stuff like that. And I mean, that kind of stuff too, if you're looking at the spiritual realm of things, can open you up, I suppose, to be maybe a little more susceptible to being contacted, I guess, by otherworldly
become more
beings.
sensitive.
Yes, become more sensitive.
And it's supposed to be more of like a meditative thing, which I mean, in sense, that's what you're doing when you're trying to communicate with spirits. That's what a lot of mediums are doing when they're trying to contact with spirits, is that they're meditating. They're getting in a meditative state so that they can communicate with beings that are there that you can't see.
They're also fun to play with.
They are very fun to play with. It's really loud, though.
It's very loud.
We're not going to do it because it's going to blow this microphone away.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be pleasant, especially if you're just audio form. Yeah. Probably would be very unpleasant for you. So you're not going to.
Speaking of audio.
Oh, yeah, I guess we haven't talked about this. No, yeah.
One of the most important things, and I always use them because I love EVP. I don't know why. It's just weird. But voice recorders. There's like a million different kinds of voice recorders out there.
Now, something like the Tascam here, which is like a stereo speaker, is one you want because it's a little higher quality audio and it's a little more isolated. Those ones are usually more recommended, a little bit more than other ones. And it's also nice to have one. Both of these I do believe, you can live monitor audio on
either of those,
you can
real time with these. So what that means is you can put earphones in. You can put ear pods in or whatever you use, and you can actually listen to what it is recording. Right. So if you're capturing something, say a spirit is saying something at that time, you can hear it in your earplugs.
Because the worst part about EVPs, and I think Kim will agree here, is listening back.
Oh.
Because, so if you have, I don't even know how long investigation. Most investigations are at least 5 hours long.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And you're probably going to be doing EVPs for most sessions, trying to listen back through all that footage. So it's nice to be able to live listen because at least you have an idea. So, let's say, you have and this is a good thing to have a notebook with you, too. It's important to have stuff like that. So, if you think you hear something in the moment, write it down. So that way, the file number and the time. So that way you're not necessarily having to review the whole thing.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll hear me, if we're recording or something and we hear something, I'll say out loud, I'll be like, did you hear that? Or what was that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or I know a lot of groups do tag a minute 35 so that whoever's listening to it later, may not be them, it might be somebody else that's going to listen to it, knows to listen at that point and be like, okay, I'm listening for something here. I don't know what it is, but I'm listening for something.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to do, is tag your recordings. If you think you hear something, say it and be like, I heard footsteps at, a minute and 35 seconds. See if you caught it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, always tag. Try and remember to always say that. And to, sometimes you get in the moment, though, and it's hard and you kind of forget to, do stuff like that. But, when you kind of calm down, definitely try and, guesstimate the time and write it down so you can look at it later. So that's most of everything we have on the table here. Now, I guess we can touch on some things that other people definitely use we haven't mentioned yet. We have some sage for smudging, but I mean, that's more of an anti-ghost hunting tool.
That's an anti-ghost hunting.
To get rid of the ghosts.
People like to do this after they're done.
Cleanse,
done ghost hunting, just in case, say they go to a place that's known for really bad spirits and stuff. What I usually do, and I know Josh does it too, is I always say, when I leave a place, you are not to follow me home. You can stay here or you can go into the light, but you are not allowed to follow me home.
Unless you want to.
Unless you really want a spirit to come with you. Because we've actually had that happen to a few people. And it's not recommended.
No, probably not. But so some other things. So there's a lot of different variations because I'm on Ghost Up's website right here. And one thing that we did have a really interesting experience that I will touch on is the REM pod.
Oh,
now, it's I don't really understand how this works, but it's basically a little pod that makes its own little field. And when things interrupt this electromagnetic field that it's making, it goes crazy and makes noises. And the one we had, and I highly recommend watching the episode. What?
It liked you. That's for
sure. The Randolph County Infirmary episode, towards the end when we were in the attic, the second time, I think. Yeah, the second time with a group of people. Every time I'd enter a room, no matter where I was in the room, it would scream at me. When I'd go through the attic, sitting in this doorway, it would scream at me. And then when I would leave the room, it would shut off. And other people walked in there. At one point, I took my phone, my watch, and everything off, and it would still do. And it was weird. The room was a pretty big room that I'd enter, and I would walk all the way in the room in another corner. It would still be screaming. And as soon as I left, the second I stepped outside of the door, it shut off.
Yeah.
It was weird. So I really don't know what on earth could have caused that. It was a really strange thing, and it went on for a while until eventually it did stop. But it went on for a good probably 15 minutes or so.
It was quite a while.
Yeah, until finally it kind of stopped, and then it was weird. All the other strange things that were happening in the attic seemed to stop then as well.
Yeah, it was almost like they got bored, and then they're like, all right, we're leaving.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, and it's like $189. And that's something I guess we didn't really talk about when doing this is a lot of ghosting equipment's kind of expensive, you know? Like, how much is, like, the SB7, for example, that Kimberly likes is, like, $80, which, I mean, that's a lot of money for a crappy little radio, you know? Let's be honest. But, I mean, the thing is, it's specialized, and unless you know how to do it yourself, like, you don't really have a choice. If you want it, then you're going to pay the money. And at least that one is built fairly well. It's a lot better than the Shack Hack, I guess.
Good luck finding a Radio Shack.
Yeah, right, exactly. But there's all kinds of crazy. Like, they have, like, laser grids. Like, this one's almost $300.
Wow.
It's, like, a professional-ish, like, one that kind of does it. It actually makes, like, full squares and stuff. You know, so, like, these things are expensive, but I guess any hobby, those specialist items, you know, people are having to, like, make and alter these things, and they're not going to sell a ton of them. So they have to kind of mark the price up so that it's worth their time to do it all.
Yeah.
So keep in mind you're paying more for that. There are some things that I would just consider stupid.
Like, okay, this. Go on Amazon.
Yes.
Put in motion-activated cat toy. They're like $3 a piece.
Exactly. Make sure you click the affiliate link before you search for it.
Yeah. There's somebody who actually put these in packagings that say ghost hunting detection device and is charging like $30 for this.
Right. Which is that kind of stuff's like highway robbery.
That's awful. So make sure if you want to get one of these, just go in motion activated cat toy. It should pop up. It's like $333 or something stupid like that. Yeah.
Like I said, I'll try and have it a link for it at the bottom so you don't have to search for it. All of that. But like one of the things I think is kind of stupid is they have this EVP wrist recorder, which is a watch that is a voice recorder on it, which I think is the dumbest thing because you're going to move your wrist all the time, and now you're going to get in.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. Some of the things on here are definitely so novelty that I think it's just, and it's also $80 for that. $80. That's insane for what that is. No,
because I like to take my recorder and kind of set it somewhere.
That's what you should do. You should not be moving it because then you're going to have all kinds of like
noises. Like the only times I will occasionally, if we're walking down a hallway that's known to have like stuff happen while you're walking down the hallway, I will occasionally like walk with it. But I'll say, we're walking down a hallway, so you know that there's going to be noises of footsteps and things like that. But most of the time, I usually just take it and I set it down somewhere, and I'm like, okay, do your thing.
Right. That's the best way to do it. Because there's already so much contamination generally going on in ghost hunts. It's the less amount, the better, of course. And like, I'm not going to go over a lot. I'm going to go over much other stuff that's on here. Most of it involves EMFs, sounds, lights, detections, stuff like that. It's all kind of the same thing, just in different boxes and stuff like that. Some of them can do all the things in one, stuff like that. Go on their website and check. There's a lot of different interesting stuff on there. And like, yes, the prices may seem high on ghost stuff, but to be honest, for a lot of the stuff, it's the only place you can get it for the actual ghosting equipment. Yeah. Now, that being said, if you are interested in ghost hunting, you really also don't need any of this stuff. I recommend having a voice recorder. Maybe
a flashlight.
Yeah, have a camera, but guess what? If you have a cell phone, you have a good enough camera to
camera.
And the only reason I'm saying that is you don't even really need that to experience things, but that way you have evidence and you have a remembrance of the experience you've had. Yeah. And of course, if it's something you like and you want some of the fun little, I'm going to call them toys, because again, none of this stuff is proven. Nothing on this table, nothing on Ghost Stop is proven to actually do anything, but that's what's kind of fun about it. Is it's experimenting. Like, I don't believe in a lot of this stuff very much. It's kind of like some of it I'm like, I don't really know, but it's still interesting to kind of hear the results we get, and some of the stuff does make me kind of scratch my head at least a little bit.
Yeah.
So and that's the main thing, And if you are, scared, again, just don't be aggressive, I guess, towards the spirits, stuff like that. Don't open yourself up more than you're willing to. Yeah. But, I mean, I think that's about it. We covered a lot of crap here. And a lot of stuff. I mean, what's your favorite ghosting equipment to use? Let us know in the comments if you're not watching on YouTube. If you're just listening, you can send us a message, let us know, or go over to YouTube and leave a comment there. Make sure to subscribe, to the channel, turn the bell on so you don't miss any videos. We upload at least a couple videos every week. We do more creepy stuff. Like I said, we do haunted adventures where we go out and we ghost hunt. We do episodes where we kind of like talk about legends of places. We do this podcast usually at least 3 times a week, or 3 times a month, not 3 times a week, 3 times a month. We also do like food reviews, stuff like that. And then when October rolls around, we go to like production haunted houses.
Yes, haunted attractions.
Haunted attractions, yes. Yeah, it's always tricky to make sure we say that because since we go to real haunted houses, it's like not real haunted houses.
Not real
haunted
ones,
attractions, yes.
Manufactured.
Manufactured haunts, yes. But they're fun and we love them.
Some of them are actually haunted.
Yeah, and some of them definitely are. But yeah. And also, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe there as well. And if you're listening to like Apple one where you can leave a review, leaving a review helps. And sharing is also great as well. And again, if you're interested in any of the things we've talked about or any of the equipment we use to make the shows, all of the links, again, their affiliate links are down below and underneath the description of the video. But that being said, thank you very much for listening and or watching. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.